May it please the court. Road rage, police egos, a cover-up to conceal an improper shooting by members of the Chicago police force. Quite simply, we have sued the city of Chicago and 2 officers for civil liability and damages, and the suit stems from an inappropriate use of force against my client. An unreasonable use of force, a shooting. We seek justice, not sympathy. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Joaquin Mendez. I am privileged to represent Mr. Robert Ramirez in this matter. He's a husband, he's a father, he's a hard-working member of this community who grew up right here in this very neighborhood. His family joins him from the back of the courtroom. And we all thank you in advance for your attentiveness as I take this very important opportunity to talk to you directly about this case. And this is a crucial time. And I'm going to do my best to communicate to you why we're here, what you can expect from us as officers of the court, and what happened in this case. I will not necessarily tell you what evidence I have just yet, but rather what it's going to show. There will be plenty of time for the presentation of evidence when we display exhibits and we call witnesses to the stand, and neither will I be here talking to you about each and every important fact and detail about this case. I stand before you basically to provide you a prelude of our case and to tell you what the evidence will show. It's been said that there are 3 sides to every story. There's one side, there's the other side, and then there's the truth. If we compare the true story of this case to a book, the defendant side of it, the city of Chicago side, will only have a few pages. Perhaps it will probably be the size of a small pamphlet. When we present our side, though, we're going to present a whole bunch more. You will have the whole book, and you, ladies and gentlemen, will have the most important task of all. And that's going to be trying to determine the truth, trying to determine, based on our presentations, what happened on the night those 2 individuals usually against my client and shot Robert in a cold and callous manner without proper justification. It was a life-altering event for him and for his family indeed. In trials, somebody has to go first, and invariably this step falls on the moving party, which is us at the instant moment. We have the burden of proving our claim by preponderance of the evidence. We brought this case. We have the burden of proving to you what we say, and we embrace that burden. When it is the defense's turn, they will present evidence in the opposite direction. Throughout this trial, though, both sides will be examining or questioning the witnesses in direct examination or cross-examination from the opposing side, and presenting evidence to you piecemeal in general. Sometimes it will be just to flesh out the details, and sometimes it'll be to show that a witness is biased or is being untruthful with you or trying to make you rely on faulty or incomplete information. The Honorable Judge will make rulings as we move along. But to get to the story, Robert and Officers Edward Wallman and Morris Levy met as they drove along in the same direction in the early morning hours of December 7th, 1996. Okay? Robert, they say lefties sometimes are the smartest people, but Robert had a lapse in judgment this particular night. He was driving home intoxicated, and Wallman and Levy were on duty. Robert did not know that Wallman and Levy were police officers because they were dressed in plain clothes and they were driving an undercover car, and they never identified themselves as such. As they drove, Robert and Levy began arguing from car to car, and eventually both stopped their vehicles. Robert got out of his car, and so did Levy, and both started fighting. Now, Robert took boxing as a youth, and as a youth he had one heck of a left punch from a southpaw, and probably he was getting the best of Levy. The defense, though, will contend that Robert was shot by Wallman because he was attacking Officer Levy with a knife. But rather than identify themselves as police officers, Wallman and Levy allowed this argument to escalate into a full-blown fight and continue until Wallman exited his car, got out, and shot Robert in the back. That is why we're here today. How are we going to prove to you that the city of Chicago and those two men sitting at that table are liable? We are going to prove to you that the evidence refutes the story that Wallman gave on how the shooting occurred. Details inconsistent with fact were used on the night Robert was arrested. We will show you exactly what those facts are, and we will have medical experts who will provide their testimony to you. We will show you that the city of Chicago has specific protocols for when an officer can use deadly force, and those protocols were not followed, resulting in serious injury to Robert. Injuries which again were not consistent with the version of the shooting provided by Wallman. We will show that Robert did not attack Levy with a knife. We will show that the story they say occurred never happened, and that it was colluded to as a hasty afterthought when the realization came about that Robert had been shot unreasonably. Our side said it's important for you to keep an open mind until you have heard all of the evidence. As I mentioned, decide this case after digesting the entire book, not just pages or chapters. Decide it after navigating it on the inside, not just glancing over its covers or reading its introduction. But this is what we promise to deliver. You may think that a lawyer's promise is akin or the same as a politician's promise, where you hear the promise and then you vote and then you wait to see if the person you selected keeps that promise. It's different in the courtroom. You won't vote until you hear all of the evidence, and you will see who keeps their promise and who does not before you write the ending of this story and the ending of this book with your verdict. I have told you what we believe the evidence will be. I've given you a prelude or an overview as to what my case is about, our case is about. Road rage, police egos, a cover-up to conceal an improper shooting by those two people, members of the Chicago Police Force. We seek no sympathy from you. Robert has had more than his fair share and his fill of sympathy from his loved ones and his friends. We simply seek justice. Thank you.